Iolanthe, fairy revels have not been what they were.
Iolanthe was the life and soul of fairyland. Why, she wrote all our songs and arranged all our dances. We sing her songs and we trip her measures, but we don't enjoy ourselves.
Oh, to think that 25 years have elapsed since she was banished. What could she have done to have deserved so terrible a punishment?
Something awful. She married a mortal.
Oh, is it injudicious to marry a mortal?
Injudicious? It strikes at the very root of our fairy system. By our law, a fairy who marries a mortal dies.
But Iolanthe didn't die.
No! Because your queen, who loved her with a surpassing love, commuted her sentence to penal servitude for life, on condition that she left her husband without a word of explanation and never communicated with him again.
And that sentence of penal servitude she is now working out on her head at the bottom of that stream.
Yes, but when I banished her, I gave her all the pleasant places of the earth to dwell in. I'm sure I never intended that she should go and live at the bottom of a stream. It makes me perfectly wretched to think of the discomfort she must have undergone.
And think of the damp. Her chest was always delicate.
And the frogs! Oh! I shall never know any peace of mind until I know why Iolanthe went to live among the frogs.
Then why not summon her and ask her?
Why? Because if I should set eyes on her again, I should forgive her at once.
Then why not forgive her? 25 years. It's a long time.
Think how we loved her.
Loved her? What was your love to mine? Why, she was invaluable to me. Who taught me to curl myself up inside a buttercup? Iolanthe. Who taught me to swing upon a cobweb? Iolanthe. Who taught me to dive into a dewdrop, to nestle in a nutshell, to gamble upon gossamer? Iolanthe.
She certainly did surprising things.
Oh, give her back to us, great queen, for your sake, if not for ours.
Oh, I should be strong, but I am weak. I should be marble, but I am clay. Her punishment has been heavier than I intended. I did not mean that she should live among the frogs. Well, it shall be as you wish. It shall be as you wish. Iolanthe, from thy dark exile thou art summoned. Come to our call, come, Iolanthe. stream?
To be near my son, Strephon.
Bless my heart. I didn't know you had a son.
He was born soon after I left my husband by your royal command. But he does not even know of his father's existence.
How old is he?
24.
24? No one to look at you would think you had a son of 24. But then that's one of the advantages of being immortal. We never grow old. Isn't he pretty?
He's very pretty, but he's inclined to be stout.
Oh.
I see no objection to stoutness. In moderation.
And what is he? He's an Arcadian shepherd. He loves Phyllis, a ward in Chancery.
A mere shepherd. And he half a fairy.
He's a fairy down to the waist, but his legs are mortal.
I have no reason to suppose that I am more curious than other people, but I confess I should like to see a person who is fairy down to the waist, but whose legs are mortal.
Nothing easier, for here he comes.
Good morrow, good mother, good mother, good morrow. By some means or other, pray banish your sorrow. With joy beyond telling, my bosom is swelling, so join in a measure expressive of pleasure. For I am to be married today, today. Yes, I am to be married today.
Yes, he's to be married today, today. Yes, he's to be married today.
Then the Lord Chancellor has at last given his consent to your marriage with his beautiful ward Phyllis.
Not he indeed. To all my tearful prayers he answers me, a shepherd lad is no fit helpmate for a ward in Chancery. I stood in court, and there I sang him songs of Arcady, with flageolet accompaniment. In vain. At first he seemed amused, so did the bard, but quickly wearying of my song and pipe, bade me get out. A servile usher then in crumpled bands and rusty bombazine led me, still singing, into Chancery Lane. I'll go no more. I'll marry her today and brave the upshot, be it what it may. But who are these?
Rejoice with me, Strephon, for my queen has pardoned me.
Pardoned you, mother, this is good news indeed.
And these ladies are my beloved sisters.
Your sisters? Then they are my aunts.
A pleasant piece of news for your bride on her wedding day.
Hush, my bride knows nothing of my fairyhood. I dare not tell her lest it frighten her. She thinks me mortal and prefers me so.
Your fairyhood doesn't seem to have done you much good.
Much good? My dear aunt, it's the curse of my existence. What's the use of being half a fairy? My body can creep through a keyhole, but what's the good of that when my legs remain kicking behind? I can make myself invisible, down to the waist, but that's of no use when my legs remain exposed to you. My brain is a fairy brain, but from the waist downwards I'm a gibbering idiot. My upper half is immortal, but my lower half grows older every day, and someday or other must die of old age. What's to become of my upper half when I've buried my lower half, I really don't know.
I see your difficulty, but with a fairy brain you should seek an intellectual sphere of action. Let me see. I've a borough or two at my disposal. How would you like to go into Parliament?
A fairy member, how delightful!
I'm afraid I should do no good there. You see, down to the waist I am a Tory of the most determined description. But my legs are a couple of confounded radicals. And on a division they'd be certain to take me into the wrong lobby. You see, they are 2 to 1, which is a strong working majority.
Don't let that distress you. You shall be returned as a liberal conservative, and your legs shall be our peculiar care.
I see your majesty does not do things by halves.
No, we are fairies down to the feet. Fare thee well, attractive stranger.
Fare thee well, attractive stranger.
Shouldst thou be in doubt or danger,
are to be made happy forever.
Well, we're to be married.
It's the same thing.
I suppose it is. But, oh, Strephon, I tremble at the step I'm taking, for I believe it's penal servitude for life to marry a ward of court without the Lord Chancellor's consent. I shall be of age in 2 years. Don't you think you could wait 2 years?
2 years? Have you ever looked in the glass?
No, never.
Well, here. Look at that, and tell me if you think it rational to expect me to wait 2 years.
No, you're quite right. It's asking too much. One must be reasonable.
Besides, who knows what will happen in 2 years? Why, you may fall in love with the Lord Chancellor himself in that time.
Yes, he's a clean gentleman.
As it is, half the House of Lords are sighing at your feet.
The House of Lords are certainly extremely attentive.
Attentive? I should think they were. Why did 25 Liberal peers come down to shoot over your grass plot last autumn? It couldn't have been the sparrows. Why did 25 Conservative peers come down to fish your pond? Don't tell me it was the goldfish. No, delays are dangerous. And if we are to marry, the sooner the better.
and one for thee, but never, oh never, a one for me. Which is exasperating for a highly susceptible chancellor.
Which is exasperating for a highly susceptible chancellor.
And now, my lords, to the business of the day. By all means. Phyllis, who is awarding the court, has so powerfully affected your lordships that you have appealed to me in a body to give her to whichever one of you she thinks proper to select. And a noble lord has just gone to her cottage to seek her immediate attendance. It would be idle to deny that I myself have the misfortune to be singularly attracted by this young person. My regard for her is rapidly undermining my constitution. 3 months ago, I was a stout man.
Tut, tut.
Oh, I need say no more. If I could reconcile it with my duty, I would unhesitatingly award her to myself. For I could conscientiously say I know no man who is so well fitted to render her exceptionally happy. But such an award would be open to misconstruction, and therefore, at whatever personal inconvenience, I waive my claim.
My lord, I desire on the part of this house to express its sincere sympathy with your lordship's most painful position.
Hear, hear.
I thank your lordships. The feelings of a Lord Chancellor who is in love with a ward of court are not to be envied. What is his position? Can he give his own consent to his own marriage with his own ward?
Difficult.
Can he marry his own ward without his own consent? And if he marries his own ward without his own consent, can he commit himself for contempt of his own court?
That is tricky.
And if he commits himself for contempt of his own court, can he appear by counsel before himself to move for an arrest of his own judgment? It is indeed painful to have to sit upon a woolsack which is stuffed with such thorns as these.
Indeed.
My lords, I have much pleasure in announcing that I have succeeded in inducing the young person to present herself at the bar of this house.
Well done, well done.
My well-known and good Iolanthe, you've summoned me and I am here.
Oh, rapture, how beautiful, how gentle, how dutiful. Of all the young ladies I know, this pretty young lady's the fairest. Her lips have the rosiest show, her eyes are the richest and rarest. Her origin's lowly, it's true, but of birth and position I've plenty. I've grammar and spelling for 2, and blood and behavior for 20. Her origin's lowly, it's true. I've grammar and spelling for 2, of birth and position I've plenty, with blood and behavior for 20. Of birth and position I've plenty, with blood and behavior for 20.
All the views of the house have diverged on every conceivable motion. All questions of party are merged in a frenzy of love and devotion. If you ask us distinctly to say what party we claim to belong to, we reply without doubt or delay, the party we're singing this song to. If you ask us distinctly to say, we reply without doubt or delay, the party we claim to belong to, the party we're singing this song to, the party we claim to belong to, the party we're singing this song to.
reign of stern denials, nor with love or disdain augment our trials. Hearts just as pure and fair may beat in Belgrave Square as in the lonely air of Seven Dials. Blue blood, of what avail art thou to serve us now, rotating from the blood, blue blood, our blue blood. Of what avail art thou to serve us now, rotating from the blood, blue blood, our blue blood.
My lord, it may not be, with grief my heart is riven. You waste your time on me, for my heart is given.
Given.
Yes, given.
And who has dared to brave our high displeasure, and thus defy our definite command?
'Tis I, young Strephon, mine this priceless treasure. Against the world, I claim my darling's hand. A shepherd I,
A shepherd he,
of Arcady,
of Arcady,
betrothed are we,
betrothed are they,
and mean to be
espoused today.
a shepherd I, of Arcady, a shepherd I, of Arcady,
Betrothed are they, betrothed are they, I mean to be espoused today. Neath this blow, Western's never dagger, though we momentarily stagger. In each heart, crowd we innately, let's depart, dignified and stately. Let's depart, dignified and stately, dignified and stately,
Dignified and stately,
dignified and stately,
dignified and stately.
dignified and stately.
Oh, our hearts she's madly bruising, in another suit of choosing. Let's pretend it's most amusing. Let's pretend it's most amusing. Ah, 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 ah. Tantara, 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 ra, 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 ra. Tantara.
And now, sir, what excuse have you to offer for disobeying an order of the Court of Chancery?
My lord, I know no courts of chancery. I go by nature's acts of parliament. The bees, the breeze, the seas, the rooks, the brooks, the gales, the vales, the mountains and the fountains cry, you love this maiden, take her, we command you. 'Tis writ in heaven by the bright barbed dart that leaps forth into lurid light from each grim thundercloud. The very rain pours forth her sad and sodden sympathy. When chorus nature bids me take my love, shall I reply, nay, a certain chancellor forbids it? Sir, you are England's Lord High Chancellor, but are you Chancellor of birds and trees, King of the winds, and Prince of thunderclouds?
No, it's a nice point. I don't know that I've ever come across it before. But my difficulty is that there is no evidence before the court that chorus nature has interested herself in the matter.
No evidence? You have my word for it. I tell you, she bade me take my
Oh,
love.
my good sir, you mustn't tell us what she told you. That's not evidence. Now, an affidavit from a thunderstorm, or a few words on oath from a heavy shower, would meet with all the attention they deserve.
And have you the heart to apply the prosaic rules of evidence to a case which bubbles over with poetical emotion?
Distinctly. I have always kept my duty distinctly before my eyes, and it is to that fact I owe my advancement to my present distinguished position. When I went to the bar as a very young man, said I to myself, said I, I'll work on a new and original plan, said I to myself, said I will never assume that a rogue or a thief is a gentleman worthy implicit belief, because his attorney has sent me a brief, said I to myself, said I. Ere I go into court, I will read my brief through, said I to myself, said I, and I'll never take work I'm unable to do, said I to myself, said I. My learned profession I'll never disgrace by taking a fee with a grin on my face when I haven't been there to attend to the case, said I to myself, said I. I'll never throw dust in a juryman's eyes, said I to myself, said I, or hoodwink a judge who is not overwise, said I to myself, said I, or assume that the witnesses summoned in court in Exchequer, Queen's Bench, Common Pleas or Divorce have perjured themselves as a matter of course, said I to myself, said I. In other professions in which men engage, said I to myself, said I, the army, the navy, the church, or the stage, said I to myself, said I, professional license if carried too far, your chance of promotion will certainly mar, and I fancy the rule will apply to the bar, said I to myself, said I.
Oh, Phyllis, Phyllis, to be taken from you as I was about to make you my own. It is too much. It is just too much.
My son in tears, and on his wedding day?
My wedding day. Oh, Mother, weep with me. The law has interposed between us, and the Lord Chancellor has separated us forever.
Lord Chancellor, if he but knew.
If he but knew what?
No matter. The Lord Chancellor has no power over you. Remember, you are half a fairy. You can divide him down to the waist.
Yes, but from the waist downwards he can commit me to prison for years. Of what avail is it that my body is free if my legs are working out 7 years penal servitude?
True, but take heart. The Queen has promised you her special protection. I shall go to her and lay your peculiar case before her.
Oh, my beloved mother, how can I repay the debt I owe you? To chase the gloom away on the alcove.
What was that?
I think I heard him say that on a rainy day, to while the time away on her he'd call.
We think we heard him say that on a rainy day, to while the time away on her he'd call.
When tempest wreck thy bark, and all is drear and dark, if thou shouldst need an ark, I'd give thee one.
What was that?
I heard the minx remark she'd meet him after dark inside St. James's Park and bring him one. Heard the minx remark she'd meet him after dark inside St. James's Park and give him one.
The prospects are so bad, my heart so sore and sad, may very soon be glad a summer sun fall. When the sky is dark and tempests wreck my bark, if I should need an ark, she'll give me one. Oh, give me one, give me one.
Our shameless one tremble, they do not endeavour, my folks to
niente. And wonders he'd achieve, for he asks us to believe she's his mother, and he's nearly 25.
Recollect yourself, I pray, and be careful what you say, as the ancient Roman said, Fest Iolanthe. For I really do not see how so young a girl could be the mother of a man of 25.
My lord, of evidence I have no dearth. She has been my mother from my birth. In babyhood, upon her lap I lay, with infant food she moistened my clay. Has she withheld the succor she supplied? By hunger quelled, your strength might have died.
Had that refreshment been denied, indeed our Strephon might have died.
Had that refreshment been denied, indeed our Strephon might have died.
But as she's not his mother, it appears, why weep these hot, unnecessary tears? And by what laws should we so joyously rejoice, because our Strephon did not die? Oh, rather let us pipe our eye, because our Strephon did not die.
That's very true, let's pipe our eye, because our Strephon did not die.
lady that the lady is my mother.
Taradiddle, tom-lom-lay.
She won't believe my statement when declares we must be parted, because on the career of double dealing I have started. Then gives a hand to one of these and leaves me broken-hearted.
Taradiddle, tom-lom-lay.
Who wants to separate two lovers from each other?
Oh, fine, how Strephon's not a rogue.
You've done him an injustice, for the lady is his mother.
Taradiddle, tom-lom-lay.
Her fatal princely servants turn as well as any other. I didn't see her face, but if they fondled one another. And she's but 17, I don't believe it was his mother. Taradiddle,
Tom-lom-lay.
I have often had to use for a thorough great excuse of a son, which is English for a 20. But of all I ever heard, this is much the most absurd, for she's 17 and he is 5 and 20.
For she is 17 and he is only 5 and 20. Oh, fine, how Strephon is a rogue.
Now listen pray to me, for this paradox will be carried nobody at all contradicente. Her age upon the date of his birth was -8. If she's 17 and he is 5 and 20.
She is 17 and he is only 5 and 20. To say she is his mother is an utter bit of folly. Oh, fine, how Strephon is a rogue. Perhaps his brain is addled and is very melancholy. Taradiddle, tom-lom-lay. I wouldn't say a word that could be reckoned as injurious, but to find a mother younger than his son is very curious. And that's the kind of mother that is usually spurious. Taradiddle, tom-lom-lay.
Go away, madam, I should say, madam, you display, madam, shocking taste. It is rude, madam, to intrude, madam, with your rude, madam, brazen face. You come here, madam, interfere, madam, you look here, madam, I am one. You're aware, madam, what you dare, madam, so take care, madam, and be gone.
Let us stay, madam, I should say, madam, ladies pray, madam, shocking taste. It is rude, madam, to allude, madam, to your brood, madam, brazen faced. We don't fear, madam, any fear, madam, my dear, madam, this is one. They will stare, madam, when aware, madam, what you dare, madam, what you dare.
By these puny mortals, I shall lodge from fairy portals. Oh, the most terrific thunders in my armory of wonders.
Shall be launched terrific wonders, how should they repent their blunders? Let us stay, madam, I should say, I should say, it is rude, madam, to allude, madam, to your very portals. We don't fear, madam, we don't fear, madam, to exclude, madam, these wonders.
You're aware, madam, what you dare, madam, so you care, madam, what you dare. So take care and be You're aware, madam, what you dare, madam, so they dare, madam, what they dare, madam. You're aware, madam, what you dare, madam, so they dare, madam, and be
Oh, Chancellor unwary, it's highly necessary your tongue to teach respectful speech, your attitude to vary, your badinage so airy, your manner arbitrary, are out of place when face to face with an influential fairy.
We never knew we were talking to an influential fairy.
A plague on this vagary, I'm in a nice quandary. With hasty tones, with dames unknown, I ought to be more chary. It seems that she's a fairy from Anderson's library, and I took her for the proprietor of a ladies' seminary.
Of a ladies' seminary.
When next your houses do assemble, you may tremble.
Our wrath when gentlemen offend us is tremendous. Parliament, into Parliament, 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 he shall go, into Parliament he shall go.
In the parliamentary hive, liberal or conservative, weak or Tory, I don't know, but into Parliament you shall go.
Into Parliament he shall go, backed by a supreme authority, he'll command a large majority. Into Parliament, he Parliament, in our Parliament he shall go, into Parliament he shall go. Into Parliament, 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 he shall go, into Parliament he shall go.
Every bill and every measure that may gratify his pleasure, though your fury it arouses, shall be passed by both your houses.
Oh!
You shall sit, if he sees reason, through the grouse and salmon season.
No!
He shall end the cherished rights you enjoy on Friday nights.
No!
He shall prick the annual blister, marriage with deceased wife's sister. Titles shall ennoble then all the common councilmen.
Spare us!
Peers shall teem in Christendom, and a duke's exalted station be attainable by competitive examination. They can't assemble, no hierarchy that makes them tremble.
Yes, sir, the music of the lot and do not care and think about it. Can shall say what evils may result in consequence. Our king is vengeance to pursue all those who have prevention to oppose the views of only just to open his offense. To plunge them into grief and shame is my forbearance. They must name if they escape in any shape a very grateful wretch. Your vows we don't forsake, a dirty vengeful fall on you. It's you to see our high prestige.
The one prestigious branch, the one prestigious branch,
Although they don't wish them were poor, direct revenge will fall on you. Accept the road of honor, not to people cast the finger, but we cannot say what evils may result in consequence. Our Lord we style you shall not quench with base and lie.
that word is French.
Distinction every form, a word of vulgar bliss.
A desert word,
You're filled with joy and man, the stock, the hoy, polloi.
a great remark.
One Latin word, one Greek remark, and one that's French.
Your Lord is done with grief, requenched with grace and love.
That word is French.
His speech has before a word of gospel
A
depth.
Latin word,
Filled with joy and gladness, starts the white collar.
a Greek remark.
And that is what a Greek and love, that's a French. Just the years that kind of what we do again.
Think about it, cannot say what evils may result in consequence. But he is vengeance to pursue on vows to men, people to oppose of you.
either a little liberal or else a little conservative. When in the house MPs divide, if they've a brain and cerebellum crew, they have to leave that brain outside and vote just as their leaders tell them to. But then the prospect of a lot of dull MPs in close proximity, all thinking for themselves, is what no man can face with equanimity. Then let's rejoice with Longfellow, that nature always does contrive, that every boy and every gal that's born into the world alive is either a little liberal or else a little conservative. Is either a little liberal or else a little conservative.
Annoyed? I should say so. Why, this ridiculous protege of yours is playing the deuce with everything. Tonight is the second reading of his bill to throw the peerage open to competitive examination.
And he'll carry it, too.
Carry it? Of course he'll carry it. He's a parliamentary Grace Brothers. He carries everything.
Yes, if you please. That's our fault.
The deuce it is.
Yes, we influence the members and compel them to vote just as he wishes them to.
It's our system. It shortens the debates.
Oh, well, but think what it all means. I don't so much mind for myself, but with a House of Peers with no grandfathers worth mentioning, the country's got to go to the dogs.
I suppose it must.
I don't want to say a word against brains. I have a great respect for brains. Often wish I had some myself. But with a House of Peers composed exclusively of persons of intellect, what's to become of the House of Commons?
I never thought of that.
This comes of women interfering in politics. It so happens that there is an institution in Great Britain which is not susceptible of any improvement whatsoever. It is the House of Peers. When Britain really ruled the waves in good Queen Bess's time, the House of Peers
was made in no pretense to intellectual eminence or scholarship sublime. Yet Britain won her proudest place in good Queen Bess's glorious days. Yet Britain won her proudest place in good Queen Bess's glorious days.
Yes, Britain won her proudest place in good Queen Bess's glorious days.
When Wellington thrashed Bonaparte, as every child can tell, the House of Peers throughout the war did nothing in particular, and did it very well. Yet Britain set the world ablaze in good King George's glorious days. Yet Britain set the world ablaze in good King George's glorious days.
Yes, Britain set the world ablaze in good King George's glorious days.
And while the House of Peers withholds its legislative hand, and noble statesmen do not itch to interfere with matters which they do not understand, as bright will shine Great Britain's rays as in King George's glorious days. As bright will shine Great Britain's rays as in King George's glorious days.
As bright will shine Great Britain's rays as in King George's
glorious days.
Charming persons, are they not? Distinctly. A self-contained dignity combined with airy condescension. Give me a British representative here.
Then pray, stop this protege of yours before it's too late.
But we can't stop him now. Aren't they lovely? Oh, why did you go and defy us, you great geese? In vain to us you plead. Don't go. Your prayers we do not heed. Don't go. It's true we sigh, but don't suppose a cheerful life or forgiveness shows. Oh no, we're very cross indeed. Yes, very cross. Don't go. It's true we sigh, but don't suppose a cheerful life or forgiveness shows. Oh no, we're very cross indeed. Yes, very cross. Don't go.
Your disrespectful sneers. Don't go. Call forth indignant tears. Don't go. You make all
of manly beauty. Look at that man. A perfect picture. Who are you, sir?
Private Willis, B Company, 1st Grenadier Guards.
You're a very fine fellow, sir.
I am often admired.
I can quite understand it. Now, here is a man whose physical attributes are simply godlike. If I yielded to a natural impulse, I should fall down and worship that man. But I mortify this inclination. I wrestle with it, and it lies beneath my feet. That is how I treat my regard for that man.
Oh, foolish they think you because his brave array my bosom calls. I disobey our very laws because I fly in realms above, in tendency to fall in love. Resemble I the amorous dove, resemble I the amorous dove. Oh, amorous dove, type of true love and wonder, this heart of mine is soft as thine, although I dare not say so. Oh, amorous dove, type of Venus say so. This heart of mine is soft as thine, although I dare not say so. On fire that glows with heating turns, I turn the hose of common sense, and out it goes at small expense. We must maintain a fairy law, that is the vein on which to draw, in that we gain a Captain Shaw, in that we gain a Captain Shaw. Oh, Captain Shaw, time of true love and wonder, would thy brigade with cold cascade quench my great love, I wonder? Oh, Captain Shaw, time of true love and wonder, would thy brigade with cold cascade quench my great love, I wonder?
I can't think why I'm not in better spirits. I'm engaged to 2 noblemen at once. That ought to be enough to make any girl happy. But I'm miserable. Don't suppose it's because I care for Strephon, for I hate him. No girl could care for a man who goes about with a mother considerably younger than himself.
Phyllis, my darling.
Phyllis, my own.
Don't! How dare you! two.
I am one of them.
I am the other.
In that case, my darling, my own. Well, have you decided which it's to be?
Not altogether. It's a difficult position. It would be hardly delicate to toss up. On the whole, we'd rather leave it to you.
How can it possibly concern me? You are both earls, you are both rich, and you are both plain.
So we are. Well, at least I am.
So am I.
Oh, no, no.
I am indeed. Very plain.
Well, perhaps you are.
There's really nothing to choose between you. If one of you would forego his title and distribute his estate amongst his Irish tenantry, why then I should see a reason for accepting the other.
Clola, are you prepared to make this sacrifice?
No.
Not even to oblige a lady?
No, not even to oblige a lady.
Well, then the only question is, which of us shall give way to the other? Perhaps, on the whole, she would be happier with me. I don't know, I may be wrong.
Oh, I don't believe you are. I really think she would. But the awkward part of the thing is that if you rob me of the girl of my heart, we must fight and one of us must die. It's a family tradition I have sworn to respect. It's a painful position, for I have a very strong regard for you, George.
My dear Thomas.
You are very dear to me, George. We were boys together. At least I was. And if I should survive you, my existence would be hopelessly embittered.
Oh, then, my dear Thomas, you must not do it. I say it again and again. If it will have this effect upon you, you must not do it. No, if one of us is to destroy the other, let it be me.
Oh, no.
Ah, yes, by our boyish friendship, I implore you.
Well, let it be so. But no, I cannot consent to an act which would crush you with unavailing remorse.
Oh, but it would not do so. I should be very sad at first. It would not be. But it would wear off. I like you very much, Thomas, but not perhaps as much as you like me.
Ah, George, you're a noble fellow, but that telltale tear betrays you. Ah, George, you're very fond of me. I cannot consent to give you a week's uneasiness on my account.
But, dear Thomas, it would not last a week. Remember, you leave the House of Lords, and on your demand, I should take your place. It would not last a day.
Now, I do hope you're not going to fight over me, because it's really not worthwhile.
I don't believe it is.
Nor I. The sacred ties of friendship are paramount.
Oh, perhaps I should incur your blame. The things of you I would not do in friendship's name.
And I may say I think the same, not even love should rank above to friendship's name.
Then
nightmare-like, robs me of me rest. Love, hopeless love, my ardent soul encumbers. Love, nightmare-like, lies heavy on my chest and weaves itself into my midnight slumber. Lying awake with a dismal headache and reposes to burn my anxiety, I can see you may use any language you choose and indulge it without impropriety. For your brain is on fire, the bedclothes conspire of usual slumber to plunder you. First your counterpane goes and uncovers your toes, and your sheet slips demurely from under you. Then the blank thing tickles you, feel like it's pickled, so terribly sharp is the pricking. And you're hot and you're cross and you tumble and toss till there's nothing betwixt you and the ticking. Then the bedclothes all creep to the ground in a heap and you pick them all up in a tangle. Then your pillow resigns and politely declines to remain its usual angle. When you get some repose in the form of a doors without eyeballs and head ever aching. But your slumbering teems with such horrible dreams that you'd very much better be waking. For you dream you are crossing the channel and tossing about in a steamer from Harwich, which is something between a light bathing machine and a very small second-class carriage. And you're giving a treat, penny ice and cold beef, to a party of friends and relations. They're a ravenous horde and they all came on board at Sloane Square and South Kensington stations. And bound on that journey you find your attorney who started that morning from Devon. He's a bit undersized and you don't feel surprised when you tell him he's only 11. Well, you're driving like mad with that singular lad by the ship's now a four-wheeler. And you're playing rum games and he calls you bad names when you tell him that Ty's headed dealer. So this you can't stand, so you throw up your hands and you find you're as cold as an icicle. In your shirt and your socks, black silk gold box crossing Salisbury Crane on a bicycle. And he and the crew are on bicycles too, which they somehow or other invested in. And he's telling the tars all the particulars of a company that he's interested in. It's a scheme of devices to get at low prices or glitz-with mixtures of cables, which tickles the sailors by treating retailers as though they were all rigid tables. You get a good payment to pay small trays of foot back to the boot tree, and his flex will take root and his fingers will shoot and he'll blossom and bud like a fruit tree. From the greengrocer tree you get grapefruit, pea, cauliflower, pineapple and cranberry. From the pastry to plant jam, brandy will grant pebble puffs, 3 corners of cranberry. The shares are a penny and ever so many are taken by Rothschild and Berry. And just as a few are allotted to you, you awake with a shout of despair. You're a regular wreck with a crick in your neck, and no wonder you snore, for your head's on your floor and your needles and pins from your soles to your shin. Your flesh is a creep and your left leg's a shrimp, you're a crab in your nose, a fly in your nose, it's a plump in your lung, and a feverish time and a thirst is intense, and a general sense that you haven't been sleeping clover. But the darkness has passed, and it's daylight at last, and the night has been long, ditto, ditto, my song. And thank goodness that's both of them over.
I am much distressed to see his lordship in this condition.
Ah, my lordships, it is seldom that a Lord Chancellor has reason to envy the position of another. But I am free to confess I would sooner be 2 earls engaged to Phyllis than any other half-dozen noblemen on the face of the globe.
It's an enviable position when you're the only one.
Ah, yes, most enviable. At the same time, seeing you thus, we'll naturally say to ourselves, this is very sad. His lordship is constitutionally as blithe as a bird. He trills upon the bench like a thing of song and gladness. His series of judgments in F sharp minor, given on Dante in 6/8 time, are among the most remarkable effects ever produced in a court of chancery. He is perhaps the only living instance of a judge whose decrees have received the honour of a double encore. How can we bring ourselves to do that which would deprive the Court of Chancery of one of its most attractive features?
I feel the force of your remarks, but I am here in 2 capacities, and they clash, my lords, they clash. I deeply grieve to say, in not entertaining my last application to myself, I presume to address myself in terms which render it impossible for me ever to address myself again. It was a painful scene, my lords, most painful.
This is what it is to have two capacities. Let us be thankful we are persons of no capacity whatever.
Come. Remember, you are a very just and kindly old gentleman, and need have no hesitation in approaching yourself, so that you do so respectfully and with a proper show of deference.
Do you really think so?
Yes. Oh, I do.
Then I will nerve myself for another effort, and if that fails, I'll resign myself to my fate.
If you go in, you're sure to win. Yours will be the charming lady. Be your law, the ancient saw. Faint heart never won fair lady.
Never, 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 faint heart never won fair lady. As the journey has an end, and at the worst of fairs will mend. Guard the door when day is nigh. Hustle your horse and don't say die.
He who shies at such a prize is not worth a pair of bathing. Be so kind to bear in mind, faint heart never won fair lady.
Never, 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 faint heart never won fair lady. When the sunshine makes your hay, where the wind is there's a way. With the lion in his lair, none but the brave deserve the fair. I'll take heart and make a start, though I fear the prospect shade. Much I'd spend to gain my end. Faint heart never won fair lady. Never, 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 faint heart never won fair lady. Nothing ventured, nothing win. Blood is thick, but water's thin. In for a penny, in for a pound, it's love that makes the world go round. Nothing ventured, nothing win. Blood is thick, but water's thin. In for a penny, in for a pound, it's love that makes the world go round. I'll take heart and make a start, though I feel the prospect shady. Much I spend to gain my end. Faint heart never won fair lady. Never, 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 faint heart never won fair lady. Nothing ventured, nothing win. Blood is thick, but water's thin. In for a penny, in for a pound, it's love that makes the world go round. Nothing venture, nothing win. Blood is thick, but water's thin. In for a penny, in for a pound, it's love that makes the world go round.
I suppose one ought to enjoy oneself in Parliament, when one leads both parties as I do. But I'm miserable, poor broken-hearted fool that I am. Oh, Phyllis, Phyllis, Phyllis.
Yes.
Phyllis! Or should I say, my lady? I have not yet been informed which title your ladyship is pleased to select.
I haven't quite decided. You see, I have no mother to advise me.
No, I have.
Yes, a young mother.
Oh, not very. A couple of centuries or so.
Oh, she wears well.
She does. She's a fairy.
I beg your pardon, of what?
Oh, I've no longer any reason to conceal the fact. She is a fairy.
A fairy? Well, that would account for a good many things. Then I suppose you're a fairy.
I'm half a fairy.
Which half?
The upper half, down to the waistcoat.
Dear me, there's nothing to show it.
Don't do that.
Oh, but why didn't you tell me this before?
I was afraid you'd take a dislike to me. But as it's all off, you may as well know the whole truth. I'm only half immortal.
But I'd rather have half the mortal I do love than half a dozen I don't.
Oh, I think not. Go to your half dozen.
It's only two and I hate them. Oh, please forgive me.
I don't think I ought to. Besides, all sorts of difficulties may arise. You know my grandmother, she looks quite as young as my mother. So do all my aunts.
I quite understand. Whenever I see you kissing a very young lady, I shall know it's an elderly relative.
You will? And this, I think we shall be very happy.
We won't wait long.
No, we might change our minds. We'll get married first.
And change our minds afterwards.
That's the usual course. If we're weak enough to tarry ere we marry, you and I, of the feelings I inspire, you may tire by and by. For peers with flowing coffers press their offers, that is why I am sure we should not tarry ere we marry, you and I.
If we're weak enough to tarry ere we marry, you and I, with the more attractive maid and jewel-laden you may fly. If by chance we should be parted, broken-hearted, I should die. So I think we will not tarry ere we marry, you and I.
If we're weak enough to tarry ere we marry, you and I, of the feeling I inspire, you may tire by and by. Of the feeling I inspire, you may tire by and by. If we're weak enough to tarry ere we marry, you and I, of the feeling I inspire, you may tire by and by. So I think we will not tarry ere we marry, you and I, you and I, you and I.
Does your mother know is she aware of our engagement?
She is. Now she welcomes her daughter-in-law.
She kisses just like other people, but the Lord Chancellor.
I forgot him. Mother, none can resist your fairy eloquence. You will go to him and plead for us.
No, impossible.
But our happiness, our very lives depend upon our obtaining his consent.
Oh, madam, you cannot refuse to do this.
You know not what you ask. The Lord Chancellor is my husband.
Your husband?
My husband and your father.
Then our course is plain. Upon his learning that Strephon is his son, all objection to our marriage will at once be removed.
No, he must never know. He believes me to have died childless, and dearly as I love him, I am bound under penalty of death not to undeceive him. But he comes quickly.
Victory, victory! Success has crowned my efforts, and I may consider myself engaged to Phyllis. At first I wouldn't hear of it. It was out of the question. But I took heart. I pointed out to myself that in fact I was no stranger to myself. In point of fact, I had been personally acquainted with myself for some years. This had its effect. I admitted that I had watched my professional advancement with considerable interest. And I handsomely added that I yielded to nobody in my admiration for my private and professional virtues. This was a great point gained. Then I began to work upon my feelings. Conceive my joy when I perceived a tear glistening in my own eye. Eventually, after a severe struggle, I reluctantly, most reluctantly, consented.
My Lord, a suppliant at your feet I kneel. Oh, listen to our mother's fond appeal. Hear me tonight, I come in Strephon that I bleed. He loves, if in the bygone years thy eyes have ever shed tears, bitter unavailing tears, or one untimely dead. If in the eventide of life sad thoughts of her rise, then let the memory of thy wife plead for my boy. He dies. He dies if one be laid aside in sepulchral cabinet. Memorials of thy long dead bride lie dearly treasured yet. That letter hallowed bride address her little dainty clothes, her withered flowers, her faded dress, plead for my boy. He loves.
It may not be, for soul fates decide. Learn now that Phyllis is my promised bride.
My bride! No, no.
It shall be so. Those who would separate us won't be tied.
My doom thy lips have spoken, my plea in vain. A vow already broken, I break again. For him, for her, for thee, I yield my life. Behold, it may not be. I am
Thy wife.
Iolanthe, thou livest?
I live. No, let me die.
Once again thy vows are broken, thou thyself thy doom hast bow thy head to destiny, death thy doom, and thou shalt die.
Hold! If Iolanthe must die, so must we all. For as she has sinned, so have we.
What? We are all fairy duchesses, countesses, viscountesses, marchionesses, and baronesses.
It's our fault, I'm afraid. They couldn't help themselves.
It's themselves, and pretty freely too. You have all incurred death, but I can't slaughter the whole company. And yet the law is clear. Every fairy must die who marries a mortal.
Allow me, as an old equity draftsman, to make a suggestion. The subtleties of the legal mind are equal to the emergency. The thing is really quite simple. Let it stand that every fairy must die who don't marry a mortal, and there you are, out of your difficulty at once.
We like your humour. Very well. Private Willis? In order to save my life, it is necessary that I marry at once. How would you like to become a fairy guardsman?
Well, ma'am, I don't think much of a British soldier who wouldn't ill-convenience himself to rescue a lady in distress.
You are a brave fellow. You're a fairy from this moment. And you, my lords, how say you? Will you join our ranks?
Well, now that the House of Peers is to be composed exclusively of persons of intelligence, I really don't see what use we are down here, do you, Talala?
None whatever.
Good! Then away we go to Fairyland.
Happy exchange, house of peers for house of peery, 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 house of peers for house of peeries. Oh yes, sky high, free from what's in chance right. He will be surely happier for I'm such a susceptible chancellor. Up in the air, sky high, free from what's in chance right. He will be surely happier for he's such a susceptible chancellor.
not to tarry ere we marry, you and I. Of the feeling I inspire, you may tire by and by. For peers with growing pompous breast their offers, that is why I am sure we should not tarry ere we marry, you and I.
If we're weak enough to tarry ere we marry, you and I. If the more attractive maiden jewel lady you may find. If by chance we should be parted, broken hearted, I should cry. So I think we will not tarry ere we marry, you and I.
If we're weak enough to tarry ere we marry, you and I. Of the feeling I inspire, you may tire by and by. Of the feeling I inspire, you may tire by and by. If we're weak enough to tarry ere we marry, you and I. Of the feeling I inspire, you may tire by and by. So I think we will not tarry ere we marry, ere we marry, you and I. You and I, you and I.
Thank you for having us back again this year. We really look forward to coming to Blacktown because last year you were our best audience and you've been our best audience again this year. You might have noticed on your programs that Malcolm is our Lord Chancellor tonight instead of Neil. Malcolm's done this with 3 rehearsals, I think, so he deserves an extra round of applause.